Welcome to Luxury Stories 24/7, where every story is full of emotions, lessons, and unforgettable moments. Get ready for a journey of love, betrayal, and healing. Let the story begin. The city of Lagos was alive as always. Cars honked, people shouted, buses moved in and out of traffic, and life went on without pause. Inside a tall office building on the island, a young man sat in a large glass office. His name was Colin Walker. He was rich, well-dressed, and very confident. At 32, he had everything: cars, houses, businesses, and respect. But on this particular afternoon, Colin was smiling for a different reason. He was in love. In his hand, he held a small box with a ring inside. It wasn't just any ring. It was a special diamond ring, the kind that sparkles even in the dark. Colin was ready to propose to his girlfriend. Her name was Emily Watson. Emily was different. She wasn't like the women he usually dated. She wasn't loud, didn't wear flashy clothes, and didn't chase after money. She was soft-spoken, kind, and always thinking of others. But the one thing that made her different the most was that she had only one arm. When Emily was 8 years old, she lost her right arm in a car accident. A drunk driver had hit their family's car, and though she survived, her arm could not be saved. Since then, she had lived with one arm. Some people stared, some mocked, some felt pity, but she grew up learning to do everything for herself. She typed with one hand, cooked with one hand, dressed with one hand, and never asked for help unless it was truly needed. Colin met her at a health seminar in Ikeja. She had spoken about how people with disabilities can still live full lives. Her voice was calm, but her message was powerful. He walked up to her after the event and introduced himself. One coffee meeting led to another, and within a few months they were in a relationship. At first, Colin kept it private. He told Emily he just didn't like putting personal matters on social media. She believed him. She always tried to see the good in people. But slowly, she started noticing things. He never invited her to his family home. He never took her to his office parties. And when she once suggested taking a picture together at a restaurant, he had quickly said no. Still, she stayed. She loved him. So on this bright Saturday morning, when Colin called her and asked her to meet him at a small park in Victoria Island, she went with joy in her heart. When she arrived, he was already there, looking handsome as always. He smiled and hugged her. "Emily," he said, "you are the kindest, most beautiful woman I've ever met." She blushed and looked away. Then he went down on one knee and brought out the ring. "Will you marry me?" Her mouth opened in surprise. She covered her face with her hand and nodded. "Yes, Colin, I will." He stood up, hugged her, and placed the ring on her finger. They both smiled. She couldn't stop looking at the ring. It sparkled, just like her heart. Later that evening, she called her aunt, who had raised her, and told her the good news. Her aunt, Mrs. Stella Watson, was overjoyed. Emily's parents had died when she was young, and Stella had taken care of her like a daughter. But on the other side of Lagos, not everyone was happy. Colin's mother, Mrs. Caroline Walker, was sitting in her living room when Colin showed her the ring and told her about Emily. "You did what?" she shouted. "I proposed to her. We're getting married." "Is she from a rich family?" "No, she's a volunteer at a health center." "Does she have 2 arms?" Colin was silent. I said, "Does she have both arms?" "She lost one arm in an accident." Mrs. Caroline stood up in anger. "You must be joking, Colin. You're telling me that the only son of the Walker family wants to marry a disabled girl. A girl with one arm. What will people say?" "Mom, she's not disabled. She's strong. She works. She's intelligent. She's not good enough for you. That girl will bring shame to this family. I will not accept this." Colin tried to explain. He begged her to just meet Emily first. but Caroline refused. "I didn't raise you to marry someone like that," she said coldly. That night, Colin couldn't sleep. His mother's words played in his mind. He looked at pictures of Emily on his phone, smiling, laughing, holding a book with her one hand. He felt ashamed of himself. He had told her he loved her, but now he was full of fear. Fear of what people would say, fear of what society would think, fear of shame. The next few days were quiet. Emily noticed his silence. "Is everything okay?" she asked on the phone. "Yeah, I'm just busy with work." "Do you want to talk?" "Not now." Emily felt it in her heart. Something was wrong. One Friday afternoon, she decided to go to his office in Ikoyi. The receptionist looked confused but allowed her to go up. She knocked gently on his office door. He looked surprised to see her. "Emily, can we talk?" she asked. He nodded. They sat down. "You've changed, Colin," she said softly. "You don't call, you don't text. You're pulling away from me." He looked at her, not knowing what to say. "Did I do something wrong?" she asked. "No, you didn't." "Then what is it?" "I can't go ahead with the engagement." The words hit her like a slap. Her lips trembled. "What?" "I can't marry you." Her throat felt dry. "Why?" He looked down. "Because I don't think I can deal with the pressure. People are already talking. My family is angry. My mom won't even look at me. And some of my friends, they laugh behind my back. So, it's about my arm," she said quietly. Colin didn't answer. "It's about my arm," she repeated. He sighed. "Yes." Emily stood up, tears running down her cheeks. "I thought you loved me." "I did. I do. But it's complicated." "No, Colin, it's simple. You're ashamed of me. You wanted me in private but not in public." "I'm sorry." She pulled off the ring and placed it on the table. "Thank you for the lesson," she said. "Now I know how small your love really was." She walked out. Emily didn't cry in the elevator. She didn't cry in the parking lot. But when she got home, she fell to the floor and wept for hours. Days passed, then weeks. Slowly, she stood up again. She went back to the health clinic where she volunteered. She gave free health talks to poor women and children. Her heart was broken, but her soul refused to stop giving. In another part of Lagos, Colin went back to his old life. Parties, clubs, business meetings. He smiled in photos, but something was missing. Late at night, when everything was quiet, he thought of Emily. Her voice, her laughter, her courage. He tried to push her out of his mind, but she stayed. One rainy evening, Colin was driving from a meeting in Lekki. The rain was heavy and the road was slippery. He picked up his phone to check a message. He didn't see the truck coming from the other side. There was a loud crash. The car turned over 3 times. Smoke filled the air. People screamed and ran. Some called for help. A fire started under the car. Colin was pulled out unconscious by a passerby before the flames grew. The ambulance arrived and rushed him to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctor checked his blood type. "He's AB negative," said the nurse. "It's very rare." "He's losing too much blood," said Dr. Henry Lane, the senior doctor on call. "We need a donor immediately, or he won't survive." Outside, rain poured on the roof as the search for a matching donor began. At a nearby health clinic, Emily was finishing her shift when she saw the news on TV. "Businessman Colin Walker survives terrible accident," the newsreader said. "Doctors say he is in critical condition and needs urgent blood donation. His type is AB negative." Emily dropped the glass in her hand. Her heart started to race. That was her blood type. She picked up her bag and ran out of the clinic into the dark, rainy night. Emily ran into the rain, not thinking about the water pouring on her body. All she could think about was Colin, bleeding, unconscious, and close to death. The same man who once held her hand and promised her forever, then broke her heart because of her missing arm. She tried to get a bike, but the road was flooded. She waved at a taxi and begged the driver to take her to St. Grace Hospital in Victoria Island. "Please, I need to get there fast. A man is dying. I have his blood type." The driver nodded. "Hop in." The ride was slow because of the rain, but Emily sat still, praying in her heart. "God, I don't know why I'm doing this. He hurt me, but I can't sit back and do nothing. Please, save him." She didn't care if he never said thank you. She just knew she had to help. At the hospital, the emergency unit was crowded. People were crying, nurses rushed about, and doctors gave instructions. Emily walked in, soaked but calm. A nurse rushed toward her. "Miss, are you okay?" "I saw the news," Emily said. "I'm AB negative. I want to donate blood for the man in the accident. His name is Colin Walker." The nurse looked surprised. "Oh, thank God. You may be the only one we'll find in time." She led Emily into a small room. A doctor checked her vitals. Her heart was strong. Her blood pressure was fine. She passed the screening. While the nurses prepared the equipment, another nurse whispered, "Are you his wife or girlfriend?" Emily shook her head. "No." The nurse smiled. "You're a good woman." Soon the donation began. Emily lay back on the hospital bed as her blood flowed into the bag that would help save the life of the man who had once thrown her love away. She felt weak afterward, but she smiled faintly, knowing she had done the right thing. Down the hallway, Colin was being rushed into surgery. His chest was badly injured, his leg broken, and he had lost a lot of blood. But now, thanks to Emily's donation, the doctors had what they needed to fight for his life. The surgery lasted 4 hours. Dr. Lane came out finally, removed his gloves, and sighed. He made it. He's in critical condition, but he's alive. Emily was sitting in the waiting room when she heard the news. Her eyes closed and tears of relief rolled down her cheeks. She stood up, ready to leave quietly, but Dr. Lane called her back. "You donated the blood, didn't you?" "Yes. Come with me." She followed him into his office. "I think he'll want to know someone special helped him. What's your name?" "Emily Watson." Dr. Lane blinked. "Watson, the same Emily he mentioned before the surgery." Emily looked up. "He talked about me?" "Yes," the doctor said. "He kept mumbling your name even though he was unconscious." Emily, I'm sorry. Do you want to see him when he wakes up?" She shook her head. "No, I didn't do it to be thanked. I did it because it was the right thing." "You're a rare kind of person," Dr. Lane said. Emily smiled sadly. "Or maybe just foolish." She left the hospital quietly. Meanwhile, in another part of the hospital, Colin slowly opened his eyes. The room was white. Machines beeped softly beside him. He felt pain all over his body. A nurse noticed he was awake and rushed to call the doctor. Dr. Lane entered the room and stood beside the bed. "You're lucky to be alive, Mr. Walker." Colin struggled to speak. "What happened?" "You were in a car accident. It was serious. You lost a lot of blood. But someone donated blood just in time." "Who?" "A young woman." Colin blinked. "What's her name?" "Emily Watson." Colin's heart jumped. "Emily?" "Yes." "She came running into the hospital in the rain. She saved your life." Colin turned his face to the wall. His eyes filled with tears. Shame flooded his heart. The same woman he rejected because of her disability had just saved him. A week passed. Colin slowly recovered. Nurses came in and out, checking his condition. He asked every day if Emily was coming, but she didn't. Not even once. On the 7th day, he called his driver and asked for her address. The driver brought it. But when he tried to stand from the bed, Pain shot through his body. He had broken ribs and a wounded leg. He was not allowed to move yet. Instead, he picked up a pen and wrote her a letter. He gave it to the nurse to deliver. Emily received the letter the next day. She opened it slowly and began to read. "Dear Emily, you saved my life, and I don't deserve it. You gave your blood to the same man who said you weren't enough. I don't know how to ask for forgiveness. But please, know that I'm sorry. You are stronger than anyone I've ever known. And if I get another chance, I would spend the rest of my life showing you that you are more than enough. Colin." Emily folded the letter and sat in silence. She didn't reply. Colin waited. He asked the nurse every day if she had come. She hadn't. One day, Dr. Lane came into the room. "She came," he said. Colin's eyes lit up. "Where is she?" "She didn't want to disturb you. She brought food for the staff. She said she just wanted to make sure you were healing well." "Did she leave a message?" "No, just her usual soft smile." Colin looked out of the window. Rain was falling again, just like the night of the accident. This time it wasn't cold. It felt warm, like hope. He promised himself that when he was strong enough to walk, he would go to her. He wouldn't hide her. He wouldn't be ashamed. He wouldn't run away. He would stand in front of the world and say, "This is the woman who saved me, not just with her blood, but with her heart." 3 weeks had passed since the accident, and Colin was now able to walk slowly with the help of crutches. The deep cuts on his head had healed into scars, and his broken ribs were no longer as painful. But the pain in his heart, the one he caused himself, was still fresh. He thought about Emily every single day. Her name was always in his mouth, even in his sleep. He had sent her flowers, a fruit basket, and even wrote her 2 more letters. She didn't reply to any of them. Now that he was finally out of the hospital, he knew what he had to do. He asked his driver to take him to Surulere. Emily lived with her aunt in a small bungalow painted blue and white. The house was neat and simple. It looked nothing like the mansions Colin had grown up in, but to him it felt like the most important place in Lagos. He stood outside the gate with his crutch under one arm and a paper bag in the other. Inside the bag was a necklace he had custom made for her, one with a silver heart and the words, "Thank you for saving me," written on the back. He knocked gently. The gate opened halfway. A slim, older woman stood there. She looked at him from head to toe. "Yes?" "Good afternoon, Ma," Colin said. "I'm looking for Emily." The woman looked at him closely. "Are you Colin?" "Yes, Ma." She sighed. "You're the one who broke her heart, isn't it?" Colin lowered his eyes. "Yes, Ma. I came to say sorry. Please. Can I see her?" The woman looked behind her. "She's not home. She went to the community health center. She volunteers there every day." "Can you give this to her?" He held out the paper bag. She took it slowly, unsure. "She may not open it." "I understand," Colin said. As he turned to leave, the woman called after him. "You know, she cried for days because of you, but she still prayed for you when she heard about the accident." Colin nodded. That's the kind of person she is. He returned to his car, but his heart was heavier than when he arrived. Later that evening, Emily returned home. Her aunt handed her the paper bag without a word. Emily opened it on her bed. Inside was the silver necklace and a small folded note. "I still remember the sound of your voice calling my name through my pain. I don't know how you still found it in your heart to save me. If you never forgive me, I'll understand, but I'll never stop thanking you." She stared at the necklace for a long time. Then she placed it on her table and turned off the light. The next morning, at the clinic, Emily was busy helping an old woman with her blood pressure when a shadow appeared at the door. She turned and saw Colin. He looked different, tired, pale, thinner, but he was standing. His eyes looked straight into hers. For a moment, everything around them went silent. She said nothing. Neither did he. The clinic nurse looked between them and quietly stepped out. Colin slowly walked into the room. "I didn't come to force anything," he said. "I just wanted to say this face to face." Emily turned away, busying herself with papers. "You don't owe me anything," she said softly. "I know," Colin replied, "but I owe you everything." Emily took a deep breath. "I was weak," he said. "I cared too much about what others thought. I let my mother and friends control me. I thought my image mattered more than love." She didn't speak. "But when I was lying in that hospital close to death, all I could think about was you. The one I pushed away. The one who saved me." He stepped closer. "You didn't just give me blood, Emily. You gave me another chance at life." She turned to face him. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of questions. "Why did you save me?" he asked. "After everything I did?" "Because it was the right thing to do," she said simply. "I didn't do it for you. I did it for me." Colin nodded slowly. "I came today not to ask for another chance, but to thank you properly, and to say I'm sorry, not with words, but with my actions. I know I can't erase what I did, but I want to make things right." She looked at him for a long time. "I don't hate you," she said, "but I've changed. I don't see myself the same way I used to. I've learned to love myself more." "I want to learn too," he said. She walked past him and opened the door. "You should go now. I have work to do." Colin didn't argue. He nodded and walked out. As he reached the gate, she called after him. "You were brave to come." He turned around, surprised. "I'm not angry," she said. "Just healing." Colin gave her a small smile. "Then I'll wait, however long it takes." That night, Emily sat on her bed and looked at the necklace again. She still didn't wear it. But this time, she placed it beside her Bible instead of hiding it in a drawer. Days turned into weeks. Colin didn't call or text again. But he started doing something different. He joined a charity program that worked with young people living with disabilities. He helped set up free medical clinics and started a foundation in Emily's name, though he never told her. One day, the foundation invited her as a guest speaker. She arrived at the event and was shocked to see a big banner that read, "Watson Hope Foundation, inspired by one woman's strength." She asked one of the organizers, "Who started this?" The woman smiled. "A man named Colin Walker. He said your kindness changed his life." Emily stood still. Colin didn't try to talk to her that day. He watched from a distance as she gave a speech about courage, healing, and forgiving people who once broke you. After the event, she walked up to him. "You did all this?" He nodded. "Not for show, just to give back." "Do you still feel ashamed to be seen with me?" He looked into her eyes. "Never again." She was silent. Then, for the first time in months, she smiled at him. Emily sat alone in her room that night, staring at the silver necklace Colin had given her weeks ago. The words on the back glowed softly in the light. "Thank you for saving me." She picked it up and for the first time placed it around her neck. It felt light and peaceful. Something inside her had changed. She had forgiven him. The next day, she woke up early and went to the health center as usual. But this time, her steps were lighter. She smiled more. Her patients noticed. "Emily, you look different today," one of the nurses said. She didn't say why, but deep inside her, she knew she was ready to start again. That afternoon, she called Colin. When he picked up the phone and heard her voice, he stood up slowly from the chair he was sitting on. "Emily?" "Hi," she said calmly. "Are you free tomorrow?" "I'm free now, tomorrow, forever. Anytime you want." She laughed. "Tomorrow's fine." He agreed, and they both hung up. He could hardly sleep that night. The next day they met at a quiet cafe in Victoria Island. It was the same cafe where he once told her she was not good enough. But this time, everything was different. Colin stood up when she entered. She wore a long white dress with her hair in a soft bun. She still had only one arm, but now she held her head higher than before. "You look beautiful," he said. She smiled. "Thank you." They sat. The waiter brought drinks. "I want to say something," Colin began, "but maybe I should just listen instead." Emily chuckled. "No, speak. I want to hear it." He took a deep breath. "I was a coward, Emily. I let fear rule me. I was worried about people's opinions, my mother, my friends, the media. But when I lost everything, I realized what truly matters. And it wasn't status or money or image. It was you." She nodded slowly. "I used to wonder if you ever truly loved me. But after everything I've seen, the foundation, your work, your effort to change, I believe you now." Colin looked at her with hope in his eyes. "Can we start again? From the beginning?" Emily didn't answer immediately. She looked out the window at the busy Lagos streets. People walked by, cars passed, life continued. Then she looked back at him. "We can start," she said softly, "but slowly. I need to take things step by step." He nodded. "I'll wait. I'll walk beside you, at your pace." She reached across the table and touched his hand with her one arm. "I never needed you to be perfect," she said. "I just needed you to be kind." "And I will be," he replied, "forever." Weeks passed, and the two of them began to rebuild their friendship. They went on simple outings, visiting the orphanage, joining charity events, and spending time with Emily's aunt, who now smiled each time she saw Colin. At first, people still whispered when they saw them together. "Isn't that the girl with one arm? Is he really dating her again?" But Colin never looked away. In fact, he held Emily's hand tighter every time someone stared. He took her to his office for the first time, introduced her to his workers, took her to public functions, and finally, one evening, he took her to his family house. Mrs. Caroline Walker, his mother, was waiting in the living room. She looked unsure when Emily walked in, but Colin stood beside her firmly. "Mum," he said, "this is Emily. She's the woman I love, and the one who saved my life." Caroline opened her mouth to speak, but said nothing. She sat back down. Emily stepped forward politely. "Good evening, Ma." Caroline looked at her for a long time, then gave a small nod. "Good evening." It wasn't a warm welcome, but it was a start. A month later, Colin and Emily visited the same small park where he had first proposed. This time the sky was clearer, and so were their hearts. He knelt again, but now with no fear in his eyes. "Emily Watson, I once broke your heart, but you saved mine. Will you let me spend the rest of my life showing you how much you mean to me?" Tears filled her eyes, not from pain, but from healing. "Yes, Colin, I will." They hugged tightly, not caring who was watching, not caring about whispers or stares. In that moment, it was just the two of them. One man, one woman, one heart, one arm, and one love. Months later, they had a small wedding filled with laughter, soft music, and a few tears. Emily walked down the aisle in a white dress, holding a bouquet in her one hand, while everyone stood in admiration. As they exchanged vows, Colin said, "You are not less. You are more than enough." And Emily smiled with peace, knowing that sometimes life brings people back together to write a better story than the one they first started. Thank you so much for watching this story on Luxury Stories 24/7. We hope it touched your heart and taught you something special. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing and emotional stories every day. We would love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments. What did you learn? What touched you the most? Until next time, keep showing love, stay kind, and remember, every story has a lesson.